Welcome everybody to the Shell V-Power Motorsport Park in South Australia. We're about to go national motor racing with the AU4 Championship, formerly known as Australian Formula 4. Had a bit of a rebranding in the off-season, and we got a great field of machines, 16 cars in total. We've got about half of them in the Gen 2 machines, the Thatcher chassis, and about half in the older McGale chassis. We'll talk you through that as the racing goes on. But great to see open wheel racing in this country. Very strong here at the moment. And this is round one of the AU4 Championship. I'm Dan McCarthy. Alongside me is Mark Nancaro. Mark, this is something we saw a bit of last year, Australian Formula 4, now rebranded and with a huge field.
Certainly is. Looking forward to having a national competition here. Certainly involved with our state competition here this weekend. And this, of course, is round two of their championship. Cars making their way out on to the grid. These are 30-minute time races. A bit longer here than we've seen in the previous races. A lot of young, up-and-coming stars certainly involved here in this category. And obviously you know a few that are some of the young ones, up-and-coming guys there, Dan.
Yeah, so there's been a lot that have come through the ranks in years gone by. Most notably, Liam Lawson came through Australian Formula 4, and he's gone on to do all right, hasn't he? Even the guys that were up the front last year, Jimmy Pizik, he has gone on now to go over to British AU4. GB4 as it's known over there, and he is leading the championship after winning a couple of races. So he has hit the ground running over there in the UK, which is really good to see, and it shows the quality of the field that we have here. A lot of rookies in the field. We've got a couple of returning names, but many people that have stepped straight out of karting into this category. It's going to be a really interesting thing to see, because for many of them it is their very first not only race meeting but race in cars. So lots to talk about throughout this one. As you say, 25 minutes when racing gets underway, which is set to happen in just over 5 minutes. Some cars have elected to come straight to the grid. Others are doing a second practice start at the end of pit lane in preparation for the race start. But there's plenty of drivers, young and old, mainly young as 14, Mark, on the grid this weekend. There's a couple of 14-year-olds, a couple of 15-year-olds. They are as young as you can possibly be.
Certainly a few that have stepped up from karting ranks too, that usually jump into this style of race car.
And this is one of them, a Australian karting champion in KA3 and KA2 as well. He's certainly one to look out for. Isaac McNeil, he set a blistering lap on his final lap, moved provisionally up to second place, however was knocked back down in the closing stages after the checkered flag fell, and will start this one from position number 4. But look out for him in the number 11. One of the AGI Sport machines. AGI Sport running a few cars. We've also got a couple of cars run by Tim Macro Racing as well. Of course, both AGI Sport and Tim Macro Racing been synonymous with open wheel competition in this country for many, many years.
It's another one of the AGI Sport entries there, Jensen Marud. He's getting a bit of attention there. Very similar colour schemes with that gold and blue colour scheme. He's the one that's elected to step straight up to the grid there at the moment. And he'll start from on the grid there, back a little bit further and back into 8th or 9th position there. We'll get the rest of the grid to make their way around.
We spoke about the fact Jimmy Pizik's doing really well over there.
Local South Australian driver?
Yes, absolutely. Doing very, very well over in the UK as well. A graduate from this series last year is the young lady who's now moved over into Formula Academy, Joanne Chiconte, and she got points over in Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago. And she said to me when I spoke to her last year, she said, I really want to get into Formula Academy next year, and she's very well gone and done that. And we have a lot of ladies out there in this field. Chloe Lane, Imogen Radburn. There's quite a few, which is really good to see. Lots of young ladies getting involved.
Georgia Morgan's another one, and a Tim Macro entry.
Yep.
Car 44 up the line, that's Koen Kagekovic. And another one of the AGI Sport entries.
Another karting graduate, but pretty much everybody is a karting graduate, but particularly straight out of karting for him. Car number 44, of course, synonymous with one Sir Hamilton, so I'm sure that's probably why he's chosen that number 44. Clearly, I think, a Hamilton fan. But yeah, we're really looking forward to this one. We touched on the point earlier on that this is now a sort of two-spec series. We've got the Gen 2 cars, the Tatus F1T 421 chassis with the Abarth engine, whereas the Gen 1 cars, the Miguel M14 F1, that has the turbo EcoBoost Ford motor, the 1.6 litre engine. They're around about 5 or 6 seconds a lap slower. However, the fastest guys in the Gen 1 cars are as fast as the slower guys in the Gen 2 machinery. So we might see a bit of intergeneration fighting within the cars as well.
Car 30 on screen there. That's another one of the Tim Macro entries there. And then Brock Burton. And Tatus as well. We just talked about that car.
Another guy who competed at front of both national and state level karting. And yeah, he did a test late last year. So all of these guys, or a lot of them anyway, did the test at Sydney Motorsport Park a couple of weeks ago. There was also a test here earlier on in the week. So if they've been or made it pretty apparent early on that they want to be in this series, they are certainly not short of miles. This is round one of the series, race one of the series that you are about to watch here on the screens of Blendline TV. Round two will take place here in July, round three at Phillip Island in August, and then the final two rounds at Sydney Motorsport Park in late August and in late September. So a good quality field. As we said, names that have come through this series, or the Australian F4 Championship, as it was known back then, names such as Liam Lawson, but also nationally as well, Will Brown, Thomas Randall, they've also come through this category in years gone by.
Certainly the previous series a few years ago.
Will Brown winning the series in its second year, 2016.
It was one of the earlier series, yeah, I would have thought so.
Yes. Jaden Ojeda, both of the Loves, Aaron and Jordan Love. The list just goes on and on and on. It really does. It's been a great breeding ground for Australian motor racing drivers and New Zealanders as well. But starting from pole position will be the number 35 machine, driven by Harrison Dusk. The Tim Macro racing machine, the black and red car we can see on the right-hand side of the screen. Alongside of him will be car number 13, Noah Killian from AGI Sports. So we got the two teams on the front row of the grid, which is good to see. Imogen Radburn is the highest returning driver, and there she is on the screens, just as I mentioned. She finished in the top 5 of the series last year, did a majority of the rounds, did one here at the Shell V-Power Motorsport Park, and she'll be looking to continue that forward trajectory. I think she's planning to do the full season this year and see where she ends up. So she'll be starting from third alongside Isaac McNeil, who I mentioned earlier on, a Australian karting champion from position number 4. Then we have the number 44 of Koen Kokatovic in position number 5. Brock Burton out of position number 6, ahead of Morgan. That's Georgia Morgan, so she is out of 7th. And then it's the first of the older spec Gen cars, so the Miguel cars. And that pole position was taken by Jensen Marold in the AGI Sport machine. He will start alongside Wilson, Kobe Wilson, as the cars head out onto the warm-up lap. And you may be wondering why they're so spread out. A bit like Formula 1, staggered grid for these machines. They don't start directly side by side like we see in a lot of national racing. It's more like international racing, the staggered start, where they start effectively a car length ahead of each other on opposite sides of the circuit. So yeah, effectively if the leader makes a good start, they shouldn't be punished and give the guys behind a slipstream down in towards turn 1. That's the theory behind it anyway.
Just like the good old Grand Prix starts, as you mentioned there, Dan.
Indeed.
Cars are out on their form-up lap here at the moment, and we'll get them underway very shortly. Certainly Dan's given us a pretty good description there of exactly what's happening there and how things are sorted out. But the good thing about this is going to be fast. Good to get some good wings and slicks racing on board here this weekend at a national level. And it's certainly about to be launched in a big way in a few moments' time. Cars bucking these. A lot of drivers, of course, not too familiar with this circuit. They wouldn't have seen too much track time here, so gives them another look in here before they get underway. It's a great circuit for this type of car too. Probably couldn't pick a better circuit.
I was just about to say the same thing. I think they've chosen wisely on their calendar. The Bend Motorsport Park, Phillip Island, Sydney Motorsport Park, all 3 fast-flowing European-style circuits suited well to high downforce, open-wheel machines.
Exactly what we got here with the Bend. Jesse James Samuels, his name.
So there we are then, we can see them coming around. They are pretty much nose to tail now on this warm-up lap. So the red and black machine of Dusk will lead them away from pole position ahead of Killian. Radburn will come out of position number 3, the highest place returning driver, and the first of our females out of 3rd. Then behind that we have Isaac McNeil and Kokotowicz in position number 5. Good mixture of both AGI Sport and Tim Macro racing cars as we await the start of this one. This is going to be a really good way to kick things off in the AU4 Championship, renamed in the off-season from Australian Formula 4 to AU4. The cars remain the same, and we've added in some of the older McGale cars as well. Here is the pole sitter in the Gloss Finance sponsored machine. Doesn't it look absolutely immaculate?
Certainly looks a little bit different to some of the a lot of the other blue and gold machines out there at the moment. It's interesting to have the second start here with no car sitting alongside you. I think it's a great concept, to be honest. Certainly suited this style of car. Green flag at the back of the field, waiting for green, and we will be underway here in just a moment.
Revs have risen. We're about to get underway. There's a staller in the mid-pack. Can't quite see who that is from here. It's one of the AGI Sport cars from the first couple of rows. Great heads-up driving from everybody around to avoid that car. It has now got going, but it has dropped to the tail of the field. Out in front, Dusk leads the way, but that's tight further back. Isaac McNeil throwing it up the inside there of Killian, who's dropped down to position number 3. And Killian runs wide at turn 3 as well and allows McNeil to have another look there. Imogen Radburn, though, good start. She is up to position number 2.
Yeah, it was a good start. I saw the actual line marking entry make its way through there. Good start there from Imogen.
Killian fires back up the inside once again. Imogen not too deep under brakes and in fact comes under pressure from McNeil. This is great racing to start things off here on the opening lap of this season. Good wheel-to-wheel racing, good, clean, fair racing. And it's the 13 that is back in second, but a huge twitch of oversteer through the fast right-hander, and that is an off-track moment through the gravel, through the grass, and spins it around. He tried to save it, he tried to stay with it, but unfortunately Killian couldn't gather it up and spins around at the bottom of the hill.
So that good work has all come unstuck. Brings Radburn back up into second position. After that little tussle there at the moment, McNeil now looking for a challenge. So trying to get himself up into second position. So Radburn just holding off the challenge there from McNeil. The 2 on screen at the moment. Down the hill they come. And they'll come back inside of turn 17. The top 3 saying to sort themselves out. Looks like Kokotowicz there back in 4th position. Got the rain lights blinking away in the back of the car. And they come back down to complete lap number 1 here in this session.
Dusker's pulled out a 1 second margin. Here's a replay what happened. A couple of twitches for the number 13, and that was it then. There was no coming back from that. If you get out a little bit wide through the marbles there, there is no coming back, and you are simply a passenger.
That is a wild ride there. You never know what's going to happen when they get turned sideways out there in that gravel.
Just shows how dusty it is, though, doesn't it, down on that back section of the circuit. Jensen Marold has made an absolutely cracking start. Look, inside the top 5 in one of the older spec machines.
He's the first of the older cars too. So Dusk has just started to get away here a little bit. Radburn, McNeil, Burton. They're the top 4.
Kokotowicz was the one that stalled at the start of the race from 5th position, the 17-year-old. So he fell to the tail of the field. He's made his way back up to 12th position and finds himself not too far behind Killian, who himself had that spectacular off-track excursion. Just seeing a replay down in towards turn number 1. McNeil late on the brakes with the toe up the inside. A great pass from the karting champion.
Great there. At the moment, that's car number 3. It looks like James Samuels there at the moment.
2nd position in the McGale class, just ahead of Wilson in the AGI sponsored machine. And there we can see, thanks to Blendline TV, they are rotating through the different classes. So as you can see, the orange ones represent Gen 2 and the blue ones represent Gen 1. So we can give them you in classes and also overall combined. So that's really good stuff to see. McNeil, there we are, official confirmation as they come across the line, has taken 2nd position and notably only lost 1/10 that lap despite making a move. So a good pass from him. Here we go though, on pit straight, the fight in the McGale class. We could even go 3 wide as the Tata chassis comes firing past around the outside there. But the number 6 moves on through of Wilson, but around the outside comes Killian just at the wrong time. They all managed to get around turn 1 unscathed. Great notice from the guys fighting each other to look in the mirrors and see the faster car coming through.
So Wilson there just to hold his position there, and he'll do that quite nicely there in front of Samuels. So that's the 2 oldest cars. Dusky out on his own at the moment. Feder, McNeil, Radburn, they're the top 3. Just looking for this position here.
These cars have been raced in recent times in Formula Open, Australian, the Open Series, basically Formula 3 cars. You have F4 cars, even a couple of Formula Renault Euro Cup cars and Toyota Racing Series cars as well. But great that they found a home back with AU4 as a second or a older generation spec car as back up the inside. Oh, that's hard racing between these two. They are not holding back early on in this one as Wilson had the nose firmly slammed shut in his face by Samuels, who is holding on at the moment, but having to fight hard to do so. Good racing though between both of them early on in this race. This is the longest race we've had so far today, 25 minutes in duration, and that was from the moment the warm-up lap started. So we're only 3 laps into this race. There are plenty of laps to get into the groove, get into the rhythm, and really see how the race plays out. Here comes the next of the Gen 2 cars, but before that, Wilson's going to try and make the move on the racetrack. And where are they? There we go. Has he made the move? Not quite. Car on the inside there. There we go. They're locked back together again. So no, 6 had made the move on the straight, but 3 retaliates. Samuel's back up the inside into turn number 1. They were both overtaken on the run towards turn 1 by Kokotowicz, who moves up into 8th position. But these guys still scrap away for 2nd in class. And here we go again, the number 6, late on the brakes, very, very late on the brakes. A bit too late, I think.
Too late.
Front left lockup runs wide. and back comes Samuels once again. We've seen so far that Wilson has been able to make the move in a straight line, but Samuels keeps retaliating under brakes. This time, Wilson, wise to that, thought, no, I'm going to brake later this time, but outbroke himself.
He certainly did. Looks good at the moment, but the other exit wasn't too correct. Here we go, we got cars. First comes up at the moment, just going out towards turn 13. And that is car number 13. That's Killian at the moment, and the car behind him
is Marold.
So looks like that's been a change of position too.
Yes, but Marold retains the lead in the McGale class, the Gen 1 class. So he's got quite a comfortable lead with those two that we've seen fighting willingly further back. He's pulled out an 8-second margin on those two, but here comes Radburn back up the inside of McNeil to reclaim second place. She's run a little bit wide. Look, there's a bit of an overlap on the exit, but she's able to hold on with the inside line for turn number 2. I note though, Mark, despite these two fighting away, they were both faster than the leader last time by. Dusk is not pulling away.
No, certainly picked that out on track, no problems there. So even though they're trying to sort each other out for third position, they're still racing really hard and really keeping up with this leader of Dusk at the moment. So that's McNeil and Radburn in that order. In fact, make that Radburn and McNeil. Turn that around the other way. Of course, McNeil in the black car. In the Tatus there. So they've picked up their position. And they head down towards the far back of the circuit there at turn 10. And there's the top 3 in our screen with Dusk, McNeil and Radburn in that order. And this is shaping up to be a great race, this second part of the race. 4 minutes left on the clock here.
Great to see Radburn hit the ground running this year. She got her best result last season here, a 5th place finish, and she's continuing that momentum. She's now in 2nd position and trying to hunt down the race leader. She, like Joanne Ciconte last year, wants to get into Formula Academy, the all-women series that of course follows the Formula 1 World Championship around the globe, and Ciconte is doing a nice job just outside the top 10 in the championship, and it proves what can be done from the AU4 championship. Through though go the McGale chassis. It's the number 3 of Samuels, 2nd in class ahead of Wilson, but look who's caught the tail of them. Fitzpatrick, the double 8 machine, car number 88, has caught the tail of the train, and he is another ex-karter.
Yeah, a lot up in the field. He's made up stacks of ground because we've seen the battle between Samuels and Wilson a little bit further back, and they're still at it. So it's going to give certainly Fitzpatrick a fairly good look in shortly. He's made up heaps of ground. There he is. He's got a bit of an off-green colour with that particular race car. And meanwhile, while this was all happening, Samuels there looking to put a pass down on Wilson. They're side by side heading down towards turn 1 on this occasion. Right over to the far side of the track there. And Wilson around the outside. And he gets through and picks up that position in front of Samuels there. And
yep.
Have a look at Fitzpatrick coming into the fray in that group as well. So while that was all happening, that pass was happening, Fitzpatrick had a massive look in there. And there they go, that's turn 4, 5, the complex, and now Fitzpatrick. This is overall 10th and 11th position on track, just to get inside the top 10 overall. Fitzpatrick, not quite close enough there under brakes. And obviously Samuels there driving quite defensively there for that position.
Fitzpatrick, just 15 years of age, won a couple of state championships. He did actually race an F4 car as part of the Formula the New South Wales Championship at One Raceway Formula Race Cars earlier in the year. Oh, spin! I'm not sure if there was contact there, but there was a big spin there for the number 3 machine of Samuels, a former Speedway racer. He knows what it's like when the car gets loose and taily, and quickly spun it back around in the right direction. Oh, you don't know where to look at the moment. We're now on for the race lead outright. Duska's being caught by Radburn, and Radburn is dragging McNeil with her as well. So the top 3 nose to tail, and there's still 10 minutes left, Mark.
Certainly is. This is going to be a terrific race. But Dusk is certainly under the pump here now. from Imogen Radburn. Been sticking to her guns, trying to get her down there at turn 6. Patiently driven, trying to get the overlap down there. No, not close enough. Up the crest they go to turn 7, so it's all the right-handers down there at that section of the track. Fast, sweeping section of the track. There's not really a lot of passing opportunities there, or probably nil. But Dust now would see those little mirrors on the side with a nice big blue car behind him. Jeez, she's right up on the hammer there on the brakes too. She's absolutely ready to pounce here.
These guys are fighting away at the front, but Killian, who, let's not forget, spun on the opening lap of the race, has just set the fastest lap of the race by quite some margin, a 1 minute 50.7. So Killian, a case of what could have been for him had he not fallen off the track on the opening lap, certainly got the pace to match these guys in this race. So it'll just be a case of trying to bring home the best result he can. Maybe a P4 is a possibility in the final 8 minutes of this race, and then there'll be a reset for tomorrow. Here's a replay of what happened then with the number 3 machine. Was there contact or was it an unforced error? No, all by himself, just out a little bit wide in the marbles. There's no grip out there, and around went the rear.
Recovered nice and quickly though. Got the car pointed in the right direction.
10 out of 10 for style.
Nice.
And
well, here we go. This is game on here. This is the lead pair. So Dusk under challenge here for Radburn again. Had a big look sideways there. Didn't quite get the job done. Just starting to get away from McNeil there as well. So these two now starting to really dominate up the front. They get away from Isaac and McNeil back in 3rd position. Now this is the big passing opportunity down here, down at turn 6. Let's have a look as he's not quite close enough, so Dusk holds off all the challenges. And up the climb they go. So Dusk there, still in front. So not much change there from the previous lap. With 7.5 minutes left in this motor race. And it's still anyone's race up for grabs at the moment. So that's turn 10 there, right down the back of the part of the circuit. The car in the it's just pitted to car 23. That's Lawrence Casitas in the McGale, so into the pits there.
One of the elder statesmen of the series, shall we say, in the Masters class. Yeah, he took part around it. Sydney Motorsport Park last year and a regular in the New South Wales Formula Race Car Series, but unfortunately his race coming to an early end. He's brought that car into the pit lane. Out in front though, Dusk in the middle sector has put the hammer down. Look, pulled out a bit of a margin on Imogen Radburn. However, Radburn looks closer to McNeil, so maybe a mistake from her that we didn't quite see.
No, dropped back to the clutches of McNeil there somewhat. So it'll certainly keep Isaac McNeil's eyes wide and truly open there at the moment for any opportunity. And there's our shot there. We can see the top 3 heading down the long main straight here, down to turn 1. Not quite as close as what we saw on the previous lap. These drivers did get themselves into a nice little rhythm here at the moment. But they absolutely dominate. You go back to Killian, he's another 15 seconds back.
Yeah, quite
so
remarkable.
It's a massive, but they really are the dominant trio at the moment.
So Killian has made his way past Burton. I was just talking about that. So already up into 4th position, but barring a mistake from one of these 3, I don't think he's going to move any further up. As you say, 14 seconds behind these guys. I think 4th is as good as he is going to get, but I take big props from what he's done in this race, matching these guys and setting the fastest lap of the race. So certainly will be a threat for race victory with the 2 races tomorrow. This is the only race for these guys here on Saturday, the Shell V-Power Motorsport Park here in South Australia. Hope you are enjoying the action, and there's more of it, look, because it's the number 3 of Samuels who is coming under pressure once again. This time now the number 73 of Stewart as they come across the line and go hard on the brakes in towards turn number 1. Stewart had a little bit of a look, but not close enough there.
Gee, Stewart's come out of the clouds there. He wasn't even on the radar before. So now he's challenging for another position. It's overall 11th and 12th position on track.
And as the blend line graphics show us, that is for 4th and 5th in class.
In the Gen 1 class there. Trying to get themselves inside the top 4. It's the cars we can see on screen at this very moment. That's the climb up to turn 7 there. It's probably the biggest hill on the circuit here too, that big climb up there to turn 7.
13? Would that
Maybe
be
13, a bit similar.
It's one of the great things about this racetrack, isn't it? The highs, the lows, the ebbs and the flows. There's lots of, shall we say, gradient change up and down over hills. This is what we're talking about, the run towards turn 13 now. As they get towards the corner, all of a sudden it goes hard up the hill as they turn it through the fast right-hander. Look at how steep it is up there. It's got great elevation. This is another section. This corner's quite flat, turn number 14. But as they go into the fishbowl, turn 15, the car really falls away down the hill and then climbs back up over the crest of turn number 15 and then, 16, and back down again towards turn 17.
And 18, which of course is the last corner in as we look down towards the main straight. You're still looking at this pair at the moment. So that's still Samuels and Stewart, overall 11th and 12th on track. So in fact, it looks like Samuels has responded a little bit there too, got a little bit of a break between that pair. Just heading down towards turn 1 with just over 8 minutes left on the clock here. Actually, Stewart was pretty strong under brakes there. Had a little bit of ground there inside of turn 1. So his braking capacity certainly looks a little better.
I know Katsidis has gone back onto the racetrack, albeit 2 laps down, but he is back out on the race circuit. Is that Katsidis? I hope that's Katsidis running slowly there on the run towards turn number 5. Just ahead of them on the road is Wilson in the number 6 machine. I don't think it's him. Here we go. They're making their way now through the lap traffic dusk, getting through on the 77 of Filippetto, who competed in the Australian Formula 4 Series last year and took part in one of the rounds here. Good to see him back in an old model car, so he's moved back into the McGale machines. One of the older statesmen again of the series here this weekend.
Car 21 there, that's Chloe Lane.
Another karting graduate into car racing this year.
One of the Tim Macro entries there. 4 of them in the field here this weekend. Another young lady going places, hopefully. And there's that 3 car again, that's Samuels. Stewart behind him. Don't think that gap has closed any further. I think they seem pretty settled there at the moment for overall 11th and 12th on track.
Samuels has certainly been looking in the mirror more than he would have liked in this race to kick things off. And of course that spin down at Crofty Corner, turn number 12, certainly cost a fair few positions, but has recovered well. The former Speedway racer. Of course you're a big fan of Speedway, Mark.
Oh, of course I am. I love everything. As long as it's going fast, who cares?
Absolutely. I echo those remarks. Dusk in the recent laps, Mark, has pulled away from Radburn. Radburn was really starting to threaten, got the margin well under a second, but the last couple of laps, Dusk has responded with being about 7/10, 8/10 a lap faster, and has now pulled a 3-second margin. So that's really good going from him. Of course, this machine, if you didn't watch last year's competition, a Tatus F4 T421 Gen 2 chassis, homologated back in 2021. It's got all the modern stuff that you're used to seeing on open wheelers, the halo and all of those sorts of things. It's powered by a 1.4 litre turbocharged Fiat Abarth engine, produces 160 brake horsepower. So it's got quite a bit of poke for a machine as light as it is, and it's operated with a 6-speed paddle shift gearbox, double wishbone push rod, suspension, twin shock layout. It's a proper piece of kit, and it's used pretty much all around the world in GB3 and many other of, GB4 I should say, and many other of the Formula 4 series around the world.
Certainly the pride of the Italian motorsport engineering there. goes at the moment. So how are we going for time? We've gone past the 0 marker there, so time has elapsed there. So we might get another lap in. We'll see how we go.
The Gloss Finance driven machine, though, of Dusk thus far has not put a foot wrong, has he? They saw off the challenge at the midway point of the race, but it's just shown peerless consistency out there on the racing circuits. He comes around the final corner, the fast turn number 18, and he comes across the finishing line. One more lap to go for the young Tasmanian.
Starting to dominate now. Got a nice little break. In fact, as they cross the line there, it's just under 4 seconds between first and second position. So after all the challenges that he has had, he's held them all off. So Dust looking to complete this last lap to take the first race victory here for AU4 here this weekend.
He's done very well, not only in karting in Tasmania, but also on the mainland, I suppose you'd call it. He's done very well in karting as well. So a great young driver, and what a debut it is in the AU4 Championship. He pulled out a further 0.8 of a second margin that time by on Imogen Radburn, who herself is she's driven in open wheelers now for a few years. Firstly in Australian Formula Ford, but moved last year into Australian Formula 4 and has remained in the series this year, but she's doing nicely at the moment in position number 2. She herself has seen off the attack from Isaac McNeil. Killian still continues to lap pretty fast, but the damage was done early doors for him. He'll come across the line, all being well, in a lonely 4th position. Nice to see a few cars on the infield watching the action from a few different vantage points. There's a reasonable crowd here this weekend, as we can see the car coming into the final couple of corners. That's the number 35 machine of Dusk. Here he comes, the young Tasmanian, coming around the final corner. It's been a great display, a clinical display from the youngster. He takes his first victory in AU4. What a performance from the young Tasmanian.
And second was the early challenger there in Imogen Radburn. She'll come across in second position. And it will be Isaac McNeil. They're the dominant trio there by far. They are streets ahead of the rest of the field. And the 13, which would be Noah Killian. That's a super job.
He'll be disappointed with the spin on lap 1, but he's got to take positives from that. He had really good race pace there to move through back into 4th position. Same with Kota Towich, who stalled at the start of the race. Again, learnings will be made for tomorrow. His first car race comes across the line in 5th position, overtaking a couple of same generation class cars in Burton and Morgan. So that again shows the pace that he had. Again, positives to take into tomorrow's race. Burton has come across the line in the number 30 entry. That is Kobe Wilson. Oh, sorry, there's a couple of number 6s on our entry list in front of us, but yes, so Burton comes across the line in 6th, ahead of the first of the Gen 1 machines, Marold in the number 31. Jensen Marold taking that out by quite some margin. Look, here is second position. It's going to go the way of Wilson in car number 6.
So he's held off the challenges there for Fitzpatrick. He's been tailing him for quite a few laps. And ready to make their way across the line. That's overall 9th and 10th. Sorry, that's right.
Yep.
Okay.
9th position, and through comes Samuels and Stewart as well. So Samuels held off the charge to finish inside the top 10 outright, but Morgan has slipped off the road somewhere on the final lap. Georgia Morgan was sitting around Burton in around about 6th position, but has fallen off the road on the final lap and has not greeted the checkered flag, unfortunately. So it will be the sole retirement from the race. Yeah, that's the race leader coming back in, or the race winner, we should say, coming back into the lane. Harrison Dusk, a brilliant performance from him from pole position. He was challenged early on, but from there did not put a foot wrong and took the race victory by a margin of over 5 seconds in the end. Imogen Radburn getting her best result in the series, coming home in position number 2, and the karting star makes his very successful debut in 3rd position. Isaac McNeil rounding out the top 3 finishers. That was a really exciting race to kick things off in the new era of AU4.
Certainly lots happening in that race, Dan, and very entertaining to say the least. We'll have a little bit of a short break and we'll be back with...
I was just going to say before we go, if you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook on Blendline TV and want to see the remainder of the day's action, go onto the Blendline TV website and continue watching through the premium subscription service. The whole of tomorrow's proceedings will be live and free on the screens of Blendline TV. But yeah, if you want to continue watching the rest of the day's action, go onto Blendline TV Premium. We've got saloon cars, HQ Holdens, Circuit XL trophies with nearly 30 cars, and as well the ever-exciting South Australian Aussie Racing Car Series. So there's plenty to see for the remainder of the day on Blendline TV Premium. I'm Dan McCarthy, Martin and Caro alongside me. We're going to take a break and we'll be back on the other side of this.